This cool graphic of my face. So I'm Sam Sivapragasam. You can just say Siva because my surname's quite long. And most British people or white people struggle with it. So I'm part of a collective called Land in Our Names, which is a Black and people of color collective working towards land justice and racial justice and reparations in Britain. Yeah. Who am I? I've already said that. I'm also a writer, grower, and do some organizing outside of my work with Lion as well. So Lion, or Land in Our Names, is a small collective based in London where we are Black and South Asian and mixed heritage. We learn from reparations movements, anti-racist and anti-colonial and land justice movement. Anti-colonialism is a form of land justice after all, and free Palestine. We see land as the meeting space for the different forms of social justice, and it is a material thing that grounds the work that we do towards racial justice, climate justice, food justice, and all the intersections that we occupy as queer people, as people of marginalized genders, and of different class backgrounds. So what is our practice? What is our work? So the first 2 years of our existence, we had applied for funding. We also received a lot of donations in 2020 because we were the Black land and food justice organization, and at that time, a lot of people, because of the Black Lives Matter uprising, a lot of people just donated money to us, and we've never received that much money in donations, individual donations ever since. But that was a great way to start our organization, and we've been managed to have enough funding to pay everyone who's involved. We also applied for grants, and we worked on several collaborative projects. So we did a couple of research projects, one which was the Roots into Food Growing report, and another which we just published this year called Jumping Fences, and it was looking at sort of racial, the barriers for Black and people of color in growing in both London and Britain as a whole. We've also created short films, zines, podcasts, and we've held a lot of events and workshops and so on. A through line to all of our work from our inception to this day is a desire to bring together Black people and people of color to meet each other, to learn skills, to share their experiences, and to nurture a BIPOC-led anti-racist food and land justice movement in Britain. Behind the scenes, we've also developed decision-making systems, defined our aims and values, created policies around care and rest, and refined our structure, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And we're continuing to do this work. Again and again, we return to our aim of reparations. We want reparations in the redistribution of land, money, resources. We want reparations in creating spaces and opportunities for healing and rest and for Black and people of color. We want reparations in repairing the land, climate justice, and repairing our relationships to the land for a lot of Black and people of color, especially those of us who have been descended from colonized people, from displaced people. We have had a sort of our relationship to land disrupted by that, and especially living in somewhere like Britain, where the idea of connecting to nature is classed and seen as something for white people and so on. And we want reparations in remaking the world, repairing the harm that has entrenched inequality, extractivism, and violence and displacement around the world. So reparations, I've often talked about this, and maybe some people will be like, oh, it's impossible. In order to do that, Britain wouldn't be this wealthy, etc. And that's the point, in my opinion. The idea is to basically make all of the global north cease to exist as having that hegemonic power, and to redistribute it so that it isn't just these sort of conferences are just happening in the US or the UK. These are conversations that are involving everyone regardless of where you are based or have had the opportunity to be educated or work. So like colonialism is climate destruction. The evils that disconnect us from the land and each other is the forced migration and movement of people to cities, out of neighborhoods to different countries. Reparations is the remaking of the world, and yeah, the disruption of the world as we know it. It is land and food sovereignty. It is our belief that in empowering Black and people of color towards land and food sovereignty, we can create infrastructures that we need to remake the world. We are currently completing follow-up integration of our work, of our jumping fences research work. Everything you can read on our website as well, landinournames.community. I don't know why I didn't put it in the presentation, but yep. So like how we're integrating that research is also seeing how it can like affect our development as an organization. We're looking into like our long-term strategy, like how do we support and empower other Black and people of color and communities and organizations to like collectively own land in Britain, where land is quite expensive, for example. Additionally, we are collaborating with different wellness practitioners to facilitate the like repairing, healing aspect of our work as well. Like something that we haven't actually done that much of because typical activists, we like to burn out rather than look after ourselves. But trying to like, how do we create spaces for collective healing, community care, and so on. And also grounding that side of the work within land and food, which is such an important aspect of how we connect to each other, especially as people from the diaspora. Over the past month, we've also been strengthening our solidarity side of our work as we've gotten more involved with Palestinian solidarity organizing. It's something we've been involved in before, but especially now is something we're doing, and we're also looking at how to connect it not just with Palestinian sovereignty movements, but also with different international like struggles towards like justice and so on, like from Haiti to Congo, etc. And it's a slow work, especially as we're only 6 people at the moment. So, repairing the ways we work. In our collective, we're really interested in how we reflect our outward politics in our inward systems. How do we cultivate an anti-capitalist, caring, and inclusive collective identity in the ways that we are accountable to each other? How do we challenge unequal distribution of power and empower those who might be new and have less experience? How do we disrupt the funding NGO complex and work towards tangible systemic change, not just sustaining ourselves and our livelihoods? So these are questions that we're constantly thinking about and exploring, and is something that we haven't like figured out completely, but we're trying to create structures and policies within our collective to hold, like to be accountable to each other. One of these examples is like this, like sociocracy, and we have like these different like circles. And yeah, we want land. That's a big long-term goal. And yeah, I'm running out of time. So yeah, we're trying to set up a BIPOC-led and centered land project. And I had to end with a provocation, which was, how can reparations challenge existing dynamics of ownership? And that's something that we will explore at some point.